1:30 ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ಮಿತಾ ಅವರು 2 ಗಂಟೆವರೆಗೂ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ, ಸ್ಮಿತಾ ಅವ್ರ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇಂಟ್ರ್ಯೂ ಹೋಗೋರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಒಟ್ಟು ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಹಾಕಕ್ಕ ಸೊ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿರಿ, ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದಾಗುತ್ತಾ? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಮಿತಾ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅದು ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನೀವು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಸರಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಆಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರ. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಂಗೆ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದಾರಾ? ಯಾಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾರ ಒಂದು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು INS ವಿಕ್ರಮಾದಿತ್ಯ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಹೋದ್ರು ಬಿಡ್ತಾರ ನೋಡಕ್ಕೆ? 2 days ನೋಡಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದನ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇನಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಅಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. ಓಕೆ, so fiscal deficit may breach 5.9% of GDP. So what is fiscal deficit? That is deficit. Yes, what it indicates? Last. Last. So that is deficit, definition. So it indicates total borrowing of the government. So how much need to be borrowed? Total borrowing, correct? So why they are saying, means why it is worry 5.9%? What is the target? What is the target? Anyone? What FRBM says? Harish? It is 5.2 for this year. 5 point? They are targeted for 5.2, but now it is 5.9. But FRBM says 4 or 3%? 4%. Where is that 4%? 4? Ibru 4 ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ? 3%. 4 ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? So FRBM, Fiscal Responsibility and Budgetary Management Act 2002 says to target 3%. Okay. See, but because of so many reasons, we could not achieve that 3%. This year target, as you said, it is 5.2, but still it is breaching that 5.9%. Okay. So what is the relationship between debt to GDP ratio and fiscal deficit? Yesterday we discussed about debt to GDP ratio, fiscal deficit. What is the relation? This is also talking about borrowing only. That is also talking about the debt. That means borrowing only. So what is the relation? Yes, sir. What is the relation? Then, see, yesterday they are talking about debt to GDP ratio 80% something. Today they are talking about fiscal deficit 5.9%. So this is also borrowing only, right? Nothing but debt.
Is overall borrowing from previous.
So,
borrowing. So 80% of GDP, the 60% of GDP.
That's what I'm asking. So that is talking about overall debt. Overall debt. Debt to GDP ratio is talking about overall debt of the government. Okay. As a part of GDP, this is the debt, overall borrowing. For example, this is every year like 5, assume that 100 rupees is our GDP. So this year it is 5.9. Assume it may become 6 rupees. Previous year it may be 5 rupees, 6 rupees, 5 rupees, 6 rupees, like that. Okay. So even if you take, okay, for 16 years, roughly 16 years, 16 into 5, 80. So we are talking about only, that means only for 16 years debt is there. Since from independence we are doing loan, right? Then why it is only for 16 years? See, total debt they are saying 80% roughly. Okay, that means accumulated debt. So assume that every year 5 rupees debt, 5%. 100 rupees is GDP, 5 rupees. If you take 5 rupees, 16 years, it is 80 rupees. Okay. So is it only for 16 years? Is it not, means from independence, since independence we are borrowing, right? Then? Huh?
So a part of it will be paying also.
That's what you have to answer. Sir, it is not like that only we are taking, we are also repaying. So cumulative, still it is, assume that almost around 15 years debt is accumulated. So IMF forecasted that it will cross 100%. So government said it is worst case scenario. It may be even less also. Okay. So here fiscal deficit is 5.9. For any developing country, what is the better fiscal deficit? For developing country.
So 10% more than
10. 10 ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರು ಯಾಕಮ್ಮ ಬರೀ 5 ಗೆ ವರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದಾರೆ? 5% ಅಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮರ್ತ್ ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಪಾಠ ಕೇಳದೇ ಇರೋರು ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ಓಕೆ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಕೇಳಿರೋರು ಹಿಂಗ್ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 5%. If your income is 100 rupees, taking loan of 5 rupees is okay. Got it? So that is how you have the repayability capacity. If you are taking 10 rupees, 20 rupees, it becomes unsustainable. So you cannot repay it back. So 5%. But here, but our target is 3%. And here it has breached 5.9.
So from how many years it's been accumulated?
How many years?
It's been accumulated.
No, since from independence it is there. I gave just an idea. Sometimes it is, see, we are comparing to which GDP? Correct. Means present one. At that time, GDP is less. So that's why you feel okay only for 16 years. No. The thing is, in 1950, income is 100 rupees. In 2000, income may be 1 lakh rupees. In 2023, it may be 3 lakh rupees. Example. So you are accumulating that, you are continuously taking from beginning. Correct, no? From the beginning, you are taking. So that's for the present GDP, you are comparing. What is the burden on me on the present GDP? If you take an example, you are doing a business. Since from ancient times, 50 years, you are running the business. Got it? So earlier, the income of the business may be just 100 rupees. Okay. You are talking about repaying capacity in the present terms, not based upon old terms. For that time, income was 100 rupees. Now, total, what is the total debt? 50 lakh. From 100 rupees, how many years you need to, okay? How many years you need? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗತ್ತಲ್ಲ? So, it is impossible. But what is today's income? You may say 1 crore. You may say 1 crore. Got it? So, in that 50 lakh paying, it's still burden only. So, whole year's income, that is not government's income. Please understand. GDP is not government's income. Whole nation's income it is. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗತ್ತಾ? 1 lakh ಅನ್ನೋದು it is not government's income, first of all. Gross domestic product for whole country we are understanding. So that you have to understand. Okay, sir, only that much. No, you are comparing with the whole nation's income. Whole nation's income is 2 trillion, 3 trillion, 5 trillion. Got it? But that is not go. But out of that 80%, now you have to understand what is the big burden. It is a burden. Sorry, I also said 16 years. No, it's not. Means in terms of nation's income, it is 16 years. But nation income is not completely available to government. If you calculate only from government's income. But we are telling for whole nation's income. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್? ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಸನ್ ಒಂದು ಬೆಂಚ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಬೇಕು. From the whole nation income, the debt to GDP ratio is telling 80%. Okay, but fiscal deficit is talking only about purely government borrowings. Okay, out of GDP, if you take this 5.9%, it will be just a 0.5%, 0.2%, 0.3%, something like that. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಫೈನ್ ಇದು whole GDP ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ fiscal deficit, it will be very small. Very small. But they are not going to repay your, if everyone decides, okay, we will repay, we will take the responsibility to repay, means then you say it is not difficult. But already they are paying tax, everything. Okay. So you always try to understand, relate the things. This also borrowing, that is also borrowing. Then what is the relation? That is talking about whole country's debt to GDP ratio. Whole country's debt means government debt. Okay, but compared to whole countries, ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ದು? This fiscal deficit is talking about only purely government debt. Okay, we call it as sovereign debt. Government borrowings are called as sovereign debt. So ನೀವು ಈ ತರ ಈ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕಲಿಯೋದಂದ್ರೆ ಇದೆ. No books will teach you this. ಯಾವ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲೂ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. What is the relationship between debt to GDP ratio and fiscal deficit? Okay. And ನಿಮ್ಮ ಈ ಕ್ಯೂರಿಯಸ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಟೂಲ್ ಇದೆಯಪ್ಪ. You are not using that. ಮುಂಚೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ. ನಾವೇ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನೀವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಏನ್ ಅಡಿಷನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಕ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾಕೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ರೀಸನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದ ಸಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಗ್ರಾಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗ್ರಾಂಟ್ಸ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗ್ರಾಂಟ್ಸ್?
Additional 1 year ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. In case they need a extra expenditure.
Okay, that is, what is exactly supplementary grant? What is supplementary grant? What is additional grant? What is exceptional grant? ಅದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಸಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು?
Exception is for unforeseen.
ಏನಮ್ಮ?
Exception
Okay.
is
Exception is unforeseen event. Only for this year it is there. That's why it is called as exceptional. Only ಈ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ extra ಬೇಕು, which we could not predict during the budget time. What is supplementary grant? Prelims question ಇದನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇನ್ನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ?
Supplementary, already it's been allocated, but still that is not enough.
Already allocated but not sufficient. That is supplementary grant. Then what is additional grant? ಮತ್ತಿದೆ ಇನ್ಸಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಸಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ರಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗದಿದ್ದವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
ಸರ್, ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರಾಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್
ಸೊ ನ್ಯೂ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಡೆಡ್ ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಫಾರ್ ಎವರ್. ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎವರ್ ಅನ್ನಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆಗೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ additional grant. Then what is excess grant? What is excess grant? So it is already spent money, means they have spent in excess. Okay, but that they are asking from the government. What is the difference of this excess grant to other grants? Compulsory ಕೊಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು, but subjected to approval of the public account committee. Public account committee. Okay. ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಇದ್ದವ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ? ಸರಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದಾನೆ ಒಂದು ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ, ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So they are saying that why it is increasing, why it increased because of supplementary grant. Okay. So that's what they are saying. Revenue expenditure increased to 37 lakh. Revenue expenditure. That means once it is spent, it will not be coming back. So in the first supplementary demand for grant, the government sought more funds for priority areas like food, fertilizer, LPG subsidy. For what extra they have spent? Food, LPG and fertilizers, the fund allocated was insufficient. So they asked more money. That's why it has crossed to 5.9%. That is what they are saying. Okay. A new economics for the inclusive growth. New economics for the inclusive growth. So what is inclusive growth?
Including all sections of the society, like including.
So including all the sections of the people.
Elders.
Okay. Yes. A new economics, what they are saying. So he's a former member of Planning Commission and chairman of Boston Consulting Group. So how we are targeting this inclusive growth? Okay. In their book, Breaking the Mold, Reimagining India's Economic Future by Raghuram Rajan and Rohit Lamba. In case they will also ask book name. Okay. They will also ask book name itself. They recommended that India gave up its policies to build its manufacturing sector and jump straight into export more high-end services. Their suggestion is, okay, so stop this manufacturing sector boosting things. For example, SEZ, Special Economic zone. So NIMZ, National Investment and Manufacturing Zones. Okay, which is expanded version of NIMZ. What is the difference? SEZ and NIMZ. So SEZ area is small. Okay, it is boosting exports, especially from the SEZ, means the zones. But NIMZ is very big one. So around 5,000 square kilometer area, biggest area, which also attracts investment and also gives all the benefits to industries who are setting up there. Okay, so this means India is focusing on this manufacturing because we know that that can only provide the jobs. But Raghuram Rajan and Rohit Lamda, what they are saying, give up that and jump to high-end services which can fetch more and more money. But author is criticizing that. This is what India is doing from 30 years. That is why our service industry is. So we are earning more money from there only. Okay. So the signs are visible outside economist data sets, the social and political arenas. Farmers are they are talking about problems. Even though we are doing all these things, but what is the problem we are facing? So informal workers, sector workers and contract workers are still demanding fair wage, social security, and 60% of the Indians across, like it may be irrespective of religion, caste, sex, so they are classified as economically weaker section. So still they are taking job reservation. The situation is not so good. Okay, but you are talking about high-end services. They are facing a lot of problem. Okay, and you are telling that shift towards high-end jobs. Okay. No. He is saying that problem is there. He is highlighting. Fair job ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, social security ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, job reservation ಕೇಳುವಂತ persons ಇರೋ ಹೊತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ you are talking about again shifting to high end services. What we are doing since 30 years is same only. The growth affecting mismatch. See, 2 days back also we discussed about employment related aspect. Here also, but from the growth perspective and also employment is touched here. From inclusive growth perspective. When you are talking about inclusive growth, if you are shifting to high-end services, okay, how can you sustain? That is the question. Okay. The obstacle tripling India's growth is mismatch between skill, jobs, and incomes. They are saying this article is mainly focusing about both. You should be, your income should be ensured and job should be ensured. But only getting job is not a good thing. What he is saying is, along with job, income must be ensured. If there is no income ensured, then there is no use of these jobs. There's a mismatch between skill, jobs, and incomes. We know that many incidences. He has done his PhD, but he is working as a attender in some government department. So skill, where is the knowledge level and what is the work he's doing? Okay. So even some people, they are applying for sweeping job, PhD holder in government. I'm not exaggerating the applications for sweeping job in government department. So skill, jobs, and incomes are mismatched. 20 years ago, India was shining. Economists thought that India had a leapfrogged manufacturing in the development ladder, in which traditionally masses first transition. Okay, what they are saying is, usually, so they are saying that, okay, India is shining means India jumped directly from basic primary sector, that is basically from agrarian sector to service sector. It skipped that. Okay, means it is having that capacity. But usually it is not the right way. Primary sector to secondary, secondary to service. Okay. So that means it will accommodate everyone. Jobs are ensured for everyone. Because service sector cannot offer job for everyone. Somewhat high skill, somewhat extra knowledge is required there. But in manufacturing sector, semi-skilled, even crude ways, okay. So that's why they thought like that. But China lifted its masses from poverty by moving up the ladder into large manufacturing sector. So we all know that. Okay. Comparative study ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. China, Pakistan, and India. Okay. So now it is a factory of the whole world. Correct, Alva? China is a factory of the whole world. Now China is producing world-beating technology champions. Okay, what is the case of India? India invested in world-class institutions 70 years ago. That is nothing but IITs. Okay, but even today, after 70 years, we could not produce more, achievements. We could not achieve more in the secondary sector. But we are able to do well in the service sector, that everyone knows. So it enabled India's software industry to become globally competitive force. They also produce CEOs of US multinational companies. Means everywhere Indians are there, you know that. Indian space program is delivering results at the fraction of National Aeronautics and Space Administration cost. Means you know that NASA is spending for 4,500 crore. India is spending 450 crore to achieve the same thing. So there we have achieved. However, India's pattern of growth with investment in high-end skills has not generated enough decent jobs for India's masses. Even though after achieving that much, it has not generated jobs. Okay. So another thing, some author name is taking. Okay. This policy there is a big gap between this another point. There is a big gap between policy makers and real economy. These policy makers are focusing on what they are focusing on simply based upon the old theories, like for example, Keynesian formula. So what that is already big gap between that real economy and the theoretical economy. Okay. So that's what they're saying. With a twist of keen statement that practical men are usually the slaves of some defunct economist. He warned that great danger lies with the reasonably intellectual men and women employed in the policy making. Okay. So those people are not exactly following what is required. They are following some ideology. Policy making departments of central banks and governments who tend to gravitate to simplified version of the dominant beliefs of the economists who are still very much alive. They'll simply say, Keynesian formula, okay, spend more, you'll get. So they're making it a simplified version in implementation, but economy is very complex. At what time, what is required? So that is they are not thinking. So that's what they have. The realities are being missed. Most economists do not understand the process of learning, whereby citizens learn new skills and increase their incomes, and nations acquire capabilities they did not have before. So this is the thing. In 1930, it worked, means now it will not work because it continuously growing. So citizens are acquiring new skills, skill set, knowledge. Okay. So, and because of their skill set, nation is getting new capabilities. Okay. An agriculture worker is willing to apply his intelligence and labor to a new job, but cannot take much time off from the working and earning to learn new skills. So this is the trap. This is a trap. Why we cannot succeed is because of this trap. What is that? They are working in somewhere that If he acquires new skill set or knowledge, he can perform better, but he is not investing his time there, and sometimes he cannot invest his time there. So that is the reason they are saying he cannot take off time from there, so he cannot do that. So policymakers must work on this. That's what the meaning. ಅದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಸಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಂದ್ರು, ರೈಟ್? ಗುಡ್. Okay, it is not the only one thing, right? See, what government is thinking, that only that much is implemented, but that is just 1%. There are 99 things to learn, so that you have to facilitate. So your economy should move towards that end. That's what they are saying. Most experts do not understand the process of learning. They think, okay, we will consult experts, everything, and we will implement the thing. They will run the show. Okay, but it is learning process, very important. Life ka apply aganta point. The moment you stop learning, that is the end. That is the end. Your growth is halted. Continuously, it is learning only. The moment you become officer, it starts, new learning starts. Okay, learning and unlearning, both are important. What is unlearning? What is unlearning? Some things are not required. You should learn to unlearn the things which is no more required. Please remove that from your mind. Unlearning is also important. Learning and unlearning. Here they are not talking about unlearning. I'm talking from the life point of view. Unlearning is also important. Leave and move on. We say, right? Leave that and move on. So this aspect they are not focusing. Please write this in your answer. Learning is very important aspect. That opportunity you have to create for the citizens so that they will excel in their own area. But what is happening? See, this is a command economy model. Please understand. What is command economy model? Government will decide and they will implement. That is command. We are saying that we are moving away from command economy. Correct? But still, that we can see. Why only this? Why not other things? That government is not facilitating. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ? ಅದರದೇ ಆದ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇವ್ರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸೊ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಜನರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ದೋಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ದೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಅಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಲೈಕ್ ಸರ್, they don't have that much of knowledge. Okay, they cannot decide what is right and what is wrong. Government has to decide what is right and they have to implement. See, everyone needs their own development. It is wrong to say that they cannot understand. If it is fruitful, if it is beneficial, they will understand. Astal. Ent other difficulty, right? Therefore, his next job, though different on content, must be close enough to his capabilities for him to take the leap from one to another. So based upon your skill set, if the jobs are aligned, excellent work, excellent performance can be expected and growth will rise. If the next job is near his present habitation, another aspect, this is very crucial. If it is near to his habitation, his performance will be better. So he has to work, 60 kilometers away from his house means most of his time will be spent there itself. See, for study purpose also we say the same thing. Try to be near institute. That advantage is different. Okay, why that? Suppose if you want to discuss something, the moment you will be hungry by 2 o'clock. Okay, I will go home and first I will have food. Later I will think of coming back. You will not come back. But if you are near to institute, definitely will come back because it is a matter of 2 minutes. So psychological point also, and also fatigueness point also. So habitation, work should be near the habitation. Okay, he will save living cost also, correct? Therefore, adjacencies in work and location in rural areas best for climbing the skill income ladder. See, he is giving a word. Use that in your answer. Skill income ladder. The more skillful you are, easily you will got it. Income will rise. They also create the dense webs of the economic activity. Okay. Another interesting point he is telling. You people are believing. You people means those are policy makers. You have done that. Manufacturing is done only in large areas, large companies and all. That's why he created ACZ, NIMZ and all. But believe me, manufacturing is done at even at local level, which can contribute to the greater extent. That is saying manufacturing is performed not only in large and capital intensive smartphone factories. Okay, so don't think that only it will happen in a bigger areas and all big factories. And value adding service not only in large software factories. Big value addition will not happen in big companies. Correct. AI is not developed. The ChatGPT is not developed by any big company, a startup. So focus on that area. Especially India has to learn a lot here. No encouragement for startups in India. Okay, you must compare. Don't say that Sir Skill India is there, that fund, the Mudra loan they will give. That is peanuts. If that is the case, why Flipkart will move from India to other country? So other countries are giving too much importance. Other countries, not I am saying all countries, but those who are developing, misdeveloped countries, they are giving, if you are setting a startup, tax exemption. Sir, in India also up to 40 lakhs tax exemption is there for GST. See, one side you are saying that tax exemption, other side you are making it a mandatory. Nobody will come to give you business if you are not having GST. So this is not correct. One side you are saying that up to 40 lakh, no need of taking GST. Correct, very good, sir. Government is encouraging. I am starting a business and I don't have GST. You are a big business person, you want to give some work to me. Contract. First thing you will ask is whether you have GST. Why? Why it is important for you? Because in GST, whatever expenditure they make, so they will take the tax amount paid back. That is called as ITC, input tax credit. I explained. Input tax credit means simple. You are purchasing 100 rupees item, then on that 18 rupees tax you are paying. So this 18 rupees, if a businessman if you are purchasing, it will not be returned to you. That you know. If businessman is purchasing, if top or IAS purchases anything, if it is having GST, then it will be refunded. But on expenses, not on what customer pays. So this 18 rupees is given back to him. So definitely expect if you have GST, I will give work to you. This small person must say, he thinks, okay, I'll take GST. The moment you take GST, that 40 lakh will not be applicable. Even if it is 1 lakh also, you have to pay the GST. So it is first of all, he has not grown to that big level. He is in loss. He is in the beginning mode, and you are putting the burden of the tax. After taking GST also up to 40 lakhs, you must give the exemption. Then it is good thing. But they have not done that. Then where is the encouragement? Second thing, if you want to get anything from the government, they will also ask compulsorily GST. So, and Mudra loan and all, they say that collateral free, but so it is not that easy to get the loan. Got it? So and forget about idine kodtilla. If any startup makes loss in other country, till now whatever you have spent, that government will give back to them. Because you have put an effort to give a business. If it is a business, it is an employment for many people. So on behalf of government, you have done something. So you are booking loss means closing. It means take that how much you have spent till now for the business purpose, take it back, so that you will get an encouragement to start another business. Okay, if this is not working, I'll start other business. So that is not there at all. So they are saying that only in big, don't expect that only big companies, big things will, add value addition. Okay. Manufacturing value added service can be carried out in rural areas, around farms, in small, labor intensive and low capital enterprises, small, okay, household businesses, and for processing agriculture produce and transporting and selling it in nearby markets. Okay. Such enterprise add value to agriculture commodities locally. ಅಲ್ಲೇ value addition ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ without requiring their transportation to more distant large scaling. So nearby market only it is available. So that is also big contribution to nation. Focus on that. That's what they are saying. Targets of $1 trillion of GDP will not be achieved if economic growth does not become inclusive and sustainable very soon. That's what they are focusing. One side they talked about skill income ladder, that you must match it. That will add to the contribution. Second thing they are talking about, smaller means inclusive. They can also contribute to the bigger level. The pattern of economic growth must be changed. More Indians must be employed so that they can earn and learn, and by earning more, increase the market for more producers. India cannot afford to neglect its small scale and informal manufacturing sector any longer. So give importance to them. While India has abundant resource of willing human beings, large capital intensive factories require more land and financial capital to operate on scale resources which are relatively scarce in India. Means there are other people who are ready to work, but they cannot offer like big factories, big things. Please understand that and encourage this small industry, small things. Make more for India. So we have heard made in India, make in India. So they are giving one more word, make more for India. So use that in your answer. Make in India, made in India. This is make more for India. What is that? That means empower the citizens. Empower the citizens. That is what making more for India. Investing in education and skills for high-end manufacturing and service will not benefit the masses. You are just spending on top level. That is not going to help everyone. If they cannot be employed. ನೀವು ಅಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ what is the use? Exactly same thing happens. Many engineers, no job. What is the use of giving that much subsidy and all for engineers? Okay. Richness of economic activity with local webs will create more sustainable growth than policies to participate in the long. International supply chains when barriers are rising means better focus on local. That's what at a smaller level, because international supply chains are creating problem that we suffered during COVID time. China blocked, so suddenly chips, all the electronic items become very costly. So if you produce locally, then that now we are taking that action. The Indian state has limited financial capacity. It cannot afford to misspend it. By reducing the taxes and duties and giving incentives to investors with the expectation that benefits will gush down to the masses. So you cannot spend money like anything, that we know that. So spend on investors who invest in such areas where that benefits will reach to the common people. That is the meaning. Okay, not just on the top people. Got it? That means they are against crony capitalism. Means a big players, if you are getting investment, that will not reach everyone. More imports will not increase the well-being of Indian citizens. Just you are importing more means don't think that people are rich. And no. If they cannot afford it, so it's of no use. If they do not have more incomes to buy that imported goods, it's of no use. Foreign direct investment will not boost growth if it does not increase employment. FDI coming that much, this much, correct? If employment is not created, that is also of no use. See, they are criticizing the common notions. Understand the article, the FDI sir, tumma chanagide. Just because FDI, don't say it's good. If it is creating employment, say that it's good. Show on papers. Imports are increasing. That means people are rich. That's why they are buying. Please show me how many people are taking imported goods. Not only top level. The mold in which economics was cast in the later part of 20th must be broken. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. You are just following the old fashioned economy. The mold, it was means ಹಳೆ mold ನೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. So that must be broken. Policy maker must reimagine the path of India's growth. They must get down to the basics of inclusive economic growth. There are no shortcuts. Okay. So that's what China competition beat ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. India with its unmet need very attractive for them. India's policies must take advantage of this opportunity and make more for India in India, not outside. Thus growing both jobs and incomes. Okay. So new perspective. So more points for your answers. Okay. Growth oriented questions are common. So what are the challenges? What are the suggestions? Common question, correct? Suggestion ಏನಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು common question. So you can give wonderful suggestions here. So outlook for 2024, please you read it. Means not so important for me. The outlook for 24 the world and India. But for you to how to write the hopes and all. What can be done? What can be achieved in India? What are the way? So overall view, it is being written here. Easy to read. Okay. Explain ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೇನು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So that helps your answer writing, but ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಂತದ್ದು ಏನೋ ಹೊಸ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಇದೇನು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Everything is clearly explained. So law of numbers. This is about without opposition they are passing the bills. That's the law of numbers. That means no opposition.
You say that more of manufacturing, but I included the people.
Exactly. But that is not good. So that is not inclusive growth. Must focus on real inclusive growth. Our perspective, ಎರಡು ಬರಿಬೇಕು. Okay. So here, law of numbers, they are talking about passing so many bills without much opposition. 100 opposition members are there and not there, suspended, and around 40 something from Rajya Sabha suspended. And opposition leader is telling this is pre-planned. Why? Reason is there. In that suspension list, one member who was not there also is there. In suspension list, one member who is not in the parliament itself, he is there. That means they have prepared everything, finding a reason to send them out. Okay. So ಅದನ್ನ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು opposition leader is saying that this is pre-planned. Okay, murder of democracy ಅಂತ ಅವರು ವರ್ಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. But what they are asking is not bad, right? Why the security breach happened? What is the reason for that? So you allow it to discuss. Taken. Anyway, that is not that issue. That's what I'm saying. That is that it is beforehand only they are planning this. It is not like they don't want to discuss that or this. They want to find a reason. That is not good for democracy. That's what they are mentioning here. That's it in this article, editorial. Yes, this a case of revanchism. Okay, court should not stray from the constitutional vision of secularism. What is this saying? Okay, so 1991 Act, what is regarding place of worship act, it has frozen everything. At the time of in 1991, they made this act after Ayodhya issue. After Ayodhya issue, they made this. Okay. So they said that at the time of independence, what was the situation? Means maintain the status quo. If it was a mandir, masjid means masjid. Because after seeing this Ram Mandir issue, they felt that it is going to disturb whole nation, because definitely it is like somebody has demolished this temple to mosque to temple. This is common. So that's why we'll freeze this. Okay. But court, what Allahabad court has done, it has allowed that case, ASI survey and all in Gyanavapi mosque. Okay. Surveying is not wrong, but after that again outcome will be again something else. Okay. But what court, how a court is justifying even after this 91? Before that, whatever the suits were filed, that I cannot stop it. So that I am going to carry out. New suits cannot be filed, that is fine. But earlier to that, it is filed. So technically, it seems to be right. But you know that what is the repercussion of that? That's what they are saying. Court should not stray from the constitutional vision of secularism. Don't forget that basic structure. Okay. Don't create a problem for the secularism in India. Already ಇರೋ ವಿಷಯಗಳೇ ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ಆಗಿದೆ, ಇನ್ನು ಬೇಕಾ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ. Judiciary should not be seen as a legitimizing recurring communally motivated attempts to change the status of places of worship. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, judiciary should not give its seal. Okay, judiciary itself is telling what is ivar annang agbardu. We have lot of respect for judiciary, so it should not legitimize the recurring and communally motivated attempts to change the status of. See, they are communally motivated. No other intentions are there. In yet another order, they may end up expediting the project of converting a mosque into temple by indirect means. The Allahabad High Court has ruled that set of suits filed in 1991 for a declaration of that part was a Gyanavapi mosque as the property of Lord Vishweshwara is not barred by the law. That's what they are saying. It is not binding on me because it is filed before that itself. So that I can handle. Correct. Technically, you were right. But you should also take it as a sensitive issue. Yes, the repercussions, the post effects will be different. It is a threat to secularism. Okay. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಡ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬೇಡ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. You know that is the old issue only. They are telling about court should not do that. ಓದ್ತೀರಾ ಇದು? It's straightforward article ಇದೆ, so ಹಂಗಾಗಿ you can read. with respect to women empowerment, what is the status? That's what they are saying. See, this is one such scheme of government which encourages the large companies. Production linked incentive scheme. See, mail connected. If you are producing more and more, you will be getting incentives. So that is correct. How they are producing is the question. Using more machines. So that is not creating employment. So if you focus on lower level, so that it creates the employment. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? Production linked incentive scheme ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ? They are not talking about whether it is man-made, machine-made. They are talking about more production. More production, that means purely capitalist tilt. It is see, there is nothing wrong about capitalist or socialist. What the author said is include everyone. Then only everyone will be, the standard of living of everyone will be rising. Concern artha madkali. Why they are saying that? Even Gandhi is also of the same opinion. He is not against use of machines. Then, but sir, but he is against use of machines to replace the human beings itself. Because he himself uses a machine, charka, which does not take away completely a person's work. His involvement is required. Using that, he simplifies his work. Okay. Vishweshwara is against Gandhi's wish. Means, because he is purely industrialist person. Industries, more and more industries, more and more production, more and more growth. Okay. See, persons kind of study ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ತುಂಬಾ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರೆಯಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Not with respect to values, with respect to this value, Vishweshwara and Gandhi. Gandhi versus Ambedkar. Again, here, text and context also talking about the same thing. Means continuation of the same topic. Unemployment. Okay. So, all graduates facing unemployment. What historical patterns of socio-economic changes might have contributed to the consistently higher unemployment rates among the highly educated individuals in India since 1990s? We discussed that. The more unemployment rate is more in more educated, because uneducated is ready for any work. Any work. So, how does the rise in percentage of graduates in the labor force impact the unemployment rates in the job market? Okay. More and more graduates are coming out. How it is impacting the labor force market? So, see, 1993 to 2022 today. See, unemployment rate is at a peak, around 6%. Unemployment for graduates, see, it is around 16-17%. So, in this year, particular. Reason is simple. More graduates are coming out because of the compulsory education opportunities, facilities, and that is also increasing. But compared to here also in 1993, here it is 2%, here it is 9%. In any time, that is the same. Unemployment of young graduates, okay. Share of graduates in labor force, that is also increasing. In the total labor force, the graduate share is increasing. ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರ ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಶುರುವಾಗಿದೆ. The high prevalence of unemployment among the educated, pointing out that the educated men of this country suffering more from the lack of employment. 90 years later, the actions of those involved in the parliament breach have brought the question of youth unemployment to the ಅದೇ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದವ್ರು ಅದು ಅನ್ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಅದೇ ಎಷ್ಟನೇ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದ್ ಬರ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಅವ್ರ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋದವ್ರದ್ದು ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಸೇಮ್ ಭಗತ್ ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸುಖದೇವ್ ಅವ್ರೇನು ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಲೆಟ್ ದ ಡೀಫ್ ಹಿಯರ್, They threw a false bomb inside the parliament, legislative council at that time. So that why? So that we can talk about it, our problems. So these people also means these three people also did the same thing to make the people to discuss about unemployment problem. So they okay. What does China's 24 economic policy look like? So they are focusing on domestic-led growth only. They are also facing a lot of problems. So how they are planning for 24 domestic-led growth strategy? Okay, align with the China's long-term economic goals and what are the anticipated challenges in transitioning away from the export-led growth? So till now, they focused on export-led growth. What is the shift? Export-led growth means keep on exporting, earning money for the country. This because some other problems are created, economy is facing problem in China, so they're changing their shift. This they are shifting to domestic demand-led growth. Whatever the domestic economy requires, demand is there, that will produce. So thereby we will grow. That is the strategy they are adopting. Export-led to domestic demand-led growth. Okay. So what is your opinion on that? What's your opinion on that?
So
Hmm.
you are focusing more
on exporting. No, what is the problem? How it will solve their problem? Now, what actually happened to China? Why that failed? Fail anta ಹೇಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, but why they are suffering? Failing ಅನ್ನೋದು ತುಂಬಾ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Suffering ಅನ್ನೋದು small.
So their depending population gradually one child policy started to.
No, economically export-led problem ಇಂದ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಅದು ಯಾಕೆ ಸಫರ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ? Because after COVID, okay, the global demand is coming down. They are earning money from global demand only. So that is why China is suffering. Earlier, they did not have that problem. Everywhere demand was there. So whatever they demand, they used to produce and send. So that's why now they are thinking of shifting. Okay, what is the domestic consumption? Let us produce on that and let us grow in that. That is the only thing. ಇನ್ನೇನಿಲ್ಲ. You can read that. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನೀವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಎಲ್ಲ ಓದ್ತೀರಿ. ಏನ್ ಎಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನ ಏನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್? ಆಯ್ತು, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಲೆಡ್ ಇತ್ತಂತೆ ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಅಂತ. ವೈ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಶಿಫ್ಟಿಂಗ್? ದೇರ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಸಮ್ ರೀಸನ್, ರೈಟ್? ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ದೇನೆ ಯಾರು ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹಂಗಾರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್? ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಆನ್ಸರ್. ಹಂಗಾರೆ ಈಸ್ ಇಟ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ಈಸ್ ಇಟ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ? ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಲೆಡ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಅಲ್ವೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ವಿ ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಬೂಸ್ಟ್ ದಟ್. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಅದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಏನ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಇನ್ಕಮೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನು ಅದೇ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾತೆ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಫೋಕಸಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಲೆಡ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಅಂತ, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡೌಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡಷ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಸರಿ, ಚೈನಾದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಹೀಗೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು. ಅಮೆರಿಕಾಗೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಈ ತರ. ದನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಆನ್ಸರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗು ಥಾಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಹೊರತು ಇನ್ನೇನು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಬರೀ ಬರದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಥಾಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಥಾಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಯಾವ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಬರೋದು ಬಿಸಾಕ್ತೀರಿ, ಯಾವ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆರ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಆನ್ಸರ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರಿಬೇಡಿ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು. ಆನ್ಸರ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರಿಬೇಡಿ. ಇದನ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಸೊ ಜಂಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನಷ್ಟೇ ಕೊಡಿ, ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನು ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ ಬಾಯ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ನೀವ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನ್ ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಕೊಡೋಣ, ಇದು ಬೇಡ, ಅವ್ನು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಜಂಕ್ ಅಂತ ಆದ್ರೂ ಬರೀತೀರಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಕಳ್ಕೊತಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಯು ಆರ್ ಲೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ ನೀವು ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಜಂಕ್, ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಡಮ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಯಾರು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟರ್ ಡಮ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಬರಿತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಹಂಗೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡೇ ಬರಿತೀರ. ಕೈ ತುಂಬಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಯಾವಾಗ ತಲೆಯಿಂದ ತೆಗೆದು ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು? ಡಮ್ ಏನೇನೋ ಬರೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಒದ್ದಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಅದಂತೂ ಪಕ್ಕ ಡಂಬ್ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಡೆದಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯಲ್ಲ. UPSC ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೆವರ್ ಎವರ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಹಿ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಡಮ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಅವ್ನಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ನಡೀತೆ 4 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಹಾಕೋಣ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನು ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಕೂದಲು ಬೆಳಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮಂತ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಜನ ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತ, ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಅವನ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾರು ಇದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ. ಹಂಗ ಅನ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ನನ್ನ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಯೂನಿಕ್ ಇದೆ, ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರ ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಅದನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ದ ಥಾಟ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್. ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಬ್ಲಫ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ. ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿ, ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದಿಸ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿ. ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ವಾ, ಓಕೆ, ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 20%. ಅವನಿಗೇನು ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೀವೇ ಬಾಯ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ನೀವು ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಏನಾಗಲ್ಲ ತಾಳ್ ನೋಡೋಣ, NFHS 5 ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಸೇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ 20% ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಫೇಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಬರೆಯೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಸರ್ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಹಾ ಅನ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ನೀವು ಅಥೆಂಟಿಕ್ ಇದೀರಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಅಥೆಂಟಿಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅರೌಂಡ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ? ನೀವು ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಯಾವ್ದೋ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಡಾಟಾನ ಇನ್ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಹಾಕ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಓದಿರ್ತೀರಿ 20% ಮಾರ್ಟಾಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ NFH ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಸರ್ವೆ 5 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಹೇಳಿರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ, ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ವಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಅಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಗೊತ್ತು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ? ಗೊತ್ತು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇವಾಗ. ಸರಿನಾ?